News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227 is our number. Talking about the economy, a listener yesterday said, yes, Chris, I'll pay more for inflation, higher gas prices, insurance, home energy costs, interest rates, everything, if it means putting Kamala in office and not Donald Trump because he's mean. This is a panel of Black Philly voters on MSNBC yesterday.
How hard has inflation hit you?
It hit me hard. It's hitting me hard.
What do you blame for it?
I blame the federal government at this point. If a working class mom who works as a paralegal cannot buy a $2 bell pepper because it's now $5, imagine a mother living on food stamps. Imagine a mother who's making minimum wage trying to feed children. They're killing us without killing us. If you understand that. They're killing us without telling us they're killing us. They're hurting people in ways that they can't help themselves. It's either feed my child or how about feed my children and I don't eat. But I have to go work.
That is exactly what they're doing, is killing us without killing us. They're literally doing it. That woman is so spot on. And this piece of audio from MSNBC yesterday has just blown up everywhere. On every network, on every social media outlet I've seen, it's very accurate and it's very true. And what does a guy being mean and nasty, which I agree Trump needs to stop that, and he needed to stop it years ago. He's his own worst enemy. What does that have to do with it when you can't feed your family and you're a middle-class, hardworking person as a paralegal, which is a very good profession to be in? Rent and electricity bills are up 10% or more over the past 10 years, the Journal says, Wall Street Journal. Car insurance costs up 40% in 2 years. One man telling the Journal, I haven't noticed any relief. Electricity bill 1 month last summer for him was more than $500. Look at this today from Yahoo Finance. Americans are cutting back on groceries to pay for AC. Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana can expect to pay on average $858 on their June through September bills. That is insanity. West Virginia, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Delaware, Maryland, Washington, D.C. expect to pay $723, a 16 to 23% average in these states. It accounts to 16 to 23% of the average salary, takes 16 to 20, basically 20% of your salary it takes in those states on average. Plus 20% are canceling their summer vacations, 50% making other budget cuts to make ends meet. And here we go. Air conditioning. Why have this gotten so expensive? Consumer electricity bills are up 30% year to date in 1 year. Just during the past 10 years, with 2022, which would be 2 years in the Biden administration, showing the largest annual increase in average residential electricity spending since the early 1980s. They are killing us without killing us. And then this is brand new for July. The new numbers just came in. The Consumer Price Index, the CPI, rose 2.9% in July from 1 year earlier. The lowest reading since March 2021, but prices still went up 2.9%. Inflation for consumer staples has eased considerably, but it's still very high. The prices are not going down, so people don't care about 2.9. They care, I can't afford to buy freaking groceries, like that woman said. Oh, but it's going down. The prices are still high. I still can't afford it. You're still bankrupting me. So a couple of questions. Where is inflation hitting you hardest right now? Which presidential candidate do you think will help your situation the most? Whether it be Kamala or Trump. How closely do you think Kamala is tied to Joe Biden and his policies? And how have their policies affected you? To me, it's insane. Totally affected. By the way, it's 20% inflation across the entire board under Kamala Joe for the past 4 years. Wars, home energy, gas, insurance, interest rates. What haven't they affected in your life? And I mean that. And I mentioned this, and I really hit a tone with struck a note with the listener in the last segment. Marriage, the financial stress that is put under marriage. Financial stress is one of the top reasons for divorce, and it should never come between you and your wife. But it is very stressful, and it's stressful in my home lately with finances. And I've come a long way, but I still have a long way to go in how I handle it properly and how I lead my family with it. And what do you think Kamala's policies will be like compared to Biden's and Trump's? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. She plans to release some kind of a nebulous financial plan without the details this Friday is what the press has been saying. We have 3 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Oh, let's go to Brooke in Frisco. Brooke, hello, WBAP, what do you got?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Okay, I want to respond to the previous caller who was pretty much saying Trump is not godly.
Yeah, Roy, his name was from DeSoto, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's not godly to kill babies, and it's not godly to allow them
unless you're sacrificing to the god Moloch.
Exactly,
right.
Exactly, which is the point I want to make. Because the reason they want to allow women to kill their babies up to 8 months and even after is because they want to use these babies as sacrifices. But nobody talks about that, do they? They certainly don't talk about it in the media, but I keep up with what's going on, and I know what's really going on, and that's their agenda. These people are Satanists, and Trump is not perfect, and I would rather have someone who lets his personality show, who does not put on an act. And yes, maybe he's mean sometimes. Maybe he calls somebody's wife ugly sometimes. But
and
I
that's
would
not
rather
okay.
have that.
But I vote for his policies.
Not okay.
I wouldn't.
And it turns a lot of people off. But people need to vote on what they do, and they need to do their research and stop watching the fake news.
Well, you have to understand, though, people have a right to vote to spite their own bank accounts and hurt themselves and hurt the economy just because they hate somebody. It is their right to do that.
It is their right to do that, but somebody needs to get on the radio and tell the truth, because I get so frustrated when I watch the news. Nobody talks about what's really going on behind the scenes. What their agenda is for us to all be slaves by 2030.
Well, I can tell you this.
I got to
roll, Brooke, but I got to tell you this. I can tell you this. Many of us are feeling more like being enslaved than not being enslaved with these prices. That woman crying there about they can't even feed a family. All right. We're going to talk to Mike in Frisco. You're next, who is upset with this. Is going to be fascinating. He's upset with the comments Trump has made. Whoa, and he's considering voting for Kamala. Wow. All right, Mike, you're right out of the box. You're a very important person to talk to. And then we'll talk to Josh in Dallas also. Y'all are coming up next. We got 3 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Much more from those callers and more on the high prices and how it's affecting you and me on the Chris Crock Show at 1016 News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.
What we really got at last week, and is still the case now from what we're hearing, is Trump has kind of been thrown on his heels by this, and he's not really sure how to go after Vice President Harris. He knew his attack lines on President Biden. He really has struggled with how to go after someone who's 20 years younger than him, who is a different gender, a different race. It's kind of been this moment where he has not been able to coalesce around a single attack line.
I know you guys are objective over there, that you just report the news as it is. No, I know. CNN makes it. I know
that's supposed to be a laugh line.
I wasn't supposed to be, but I guess it is.
It is. It is, because it's true. That's his liberal Colbert audience laughing at CNN. Supposed to be a serious news outlet. Nobody takes them seriously either, unfortunately, because they've made a parody of himself. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris caught using sponsored Google ads to edit headlines from top news outlets to make it look like they support her, Axios has found, which is a very liberal news publication. Guardian, Reuters, CBS News, CNN, others. The ads mimic real news results, Axios says, from searches, Google searches that so closely enough they have news outlets caught off guard. CNN, USA Today, NPR, unaware their brand was being used this way. Facebook has already banned this 7 years ago in its continuing efforts to stop the spread of misinformation and false news. Even though there's a little sponsor label on there, they still look exactly like headlines, and they alter them to say how awesome she is. So, and then you have Wikipedia, who's taken away stolen J.D. Vance's awards from the military. He used to have Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal, Global War and Terrorism Service Medal, Iraq Campaign Medal, Navy and Marine Corps Sea Service Deployment Ribbon. Now it's just one award. Wow! They stripped him of 5 or 6. You don't even see him when you look him up on Wikipedia. He's not as much of a hero as he is. They've taken it away. Meanwhile, as I said, Harris campaign taking news from mainstream news outlets and mimicking it to be a Google search that shows you these headlines. It is extremely terrifying or Orwellian, and it is sad and it is angering. And Trump's not doing this. Axios said they haven't done this. They don't do this. How big of a deal is it to you that Kamala has written up fake headlines to make it look like the news outlets have praised her? What do you think Google and these media outlets like CNN, CBS, The Guardian, all these ones should do about it? And how likely is she to get away with this? 800-288-WBAP. I'm adding that to the list of the economy stuff by the economics thing. I'm kind of folding that in. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. I don't think these media outlets are going to correct her. I think they wanted to win, and I think we are living in Orwellian times. It is that simple. We are living in Orwellian times. When you Google Trump, remember, it comes up Kamala good news and Trump bad news. When you Google Kamala, it's just Kamala news. Google hates us. They seek to destroy our way of life and our votes and our values and subjugate us to their values. These young, wealthy tech titans in Silicon Valley seek to subjugate us, and it's just incredible, and it's sick. And that, by the way, the announcing of the potential breakup now in violation of United States law and the possible breakup of Alphabet and Google is a fantastic thing. I think that all of us can agree on. It's actually a bipartisan issue. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Mike in Frisco, 820 WBAP and 93.3 FM. Hello, how are you?
Thank you for having me on.
Welcome.
Yeah, my point is this. All of my costs have gone up since Biden and Kamala have been in charge. My food costs have gone up. My gas prices have gone up. Everything, and especially my insurance costs, have gone up. But the most important thing to me is that Donald Trump, a couple weeks ago, said some disparaging things about the governor of Georgia, and I just can't deal with that, so I think I'm going to vote for Kamala. Who cares about my own suffering?
Right.
If he said some bad things about some governor I've never even heard of, and now I'm going to vote for Kamala.
So you're willing to destroy your livelihood, your bank account, and your savings just to make sure that bad orange man doesn't get in?
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, that was horrible what he said about Kemp. I was mowing my lawn. I'm like, you're an idiot. He's like the most popular governor, one of the most popular Republican governors in the country. He was stupid. He was an idiot for doing it. Now, look, it's not.
That was so important that everybody in America is going to go into the voting booth and go, that was so destructive that I think we're going to vote for our own worst interest.
I know, and I'm with you on all your humor, but listen, here's the thing. Kemp's got an amazing ground game, and instead of attacking him, he should be asking him for help. And because he could literally help him make sure that he wins Georgia, and instead he's spurning him. It's stupid, and I wish he would stop. But I do appreciate your call, and I appreciate your humor. Josh in Dallas. Hello, WBAP. You're on. Hello.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having my call.
Thank you, brother.
So I was going to say, in regards to Kamala and her ties to Biden and where we're at right now, I really don't think she's had a lot of involvement with any of this outside of being the deciding vote in the Anti-Inflation Act, which is bad enough as it is. But she's a do-nothing person. She's not responsible for a lot because she doesn't do a lot. She doesn't do anything. I think that what people don't understand... No,
she was in charge of the border. She was the point person for the border. She was the czar, according to MSNBC, CNN.
And I'm not gonna, she definitely wasn't. She definitely didn't do anything. And she's useless. But she is going to be destructive, and people don't understand. She, if you listen to her views and her comments, and her attitudes towards things over the last 20 years, she is an absolute socialist and a Marxist.
Yes.
And we will be in a full-blown recession within the first year of her term. And I'm absolutely terrified. And Trump is his own worst enemy. And there's just going to be so much blame to go around.
It's so easy to win this against her, but he keeps hurting himself, and he has no discipline, and he apparently won't listen to anybody. And it's just angering. It is really angering to me and frustrating.
It's so frustrating.
It's so easy to win.
I have knots in my stomachs right now over this because I'm sitting here going, we're barely holding on.
Right.
We're barely holding on right now.
And you're sinking us.
Yeah.
But let me tell you this. I don't know if we'll be in a recession. I don't know. I'm not saying we won't or we will. But I am saying this. She will turn us into Europe and Greece, where the invasion continues of people who hate this country and destroy it. And people who don't have any interest in this country, they're here illegal, will get to vote. They have increased the ability to become a citizen and tripled it and put... I'll tell you about that in a second. But I also want to get into Israel. So I'm going to tell you about what they've done with people becoming citizens and how they've done it backwards, and they're hurting the people that are doing it legally. And then that's a quick one. But then we're going to get into Israel and a possible war, impending war between Israel and Iran and its proxies next on the Chris Crock Show at 10:33 on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. We are at wild times, and you and I are fully engaged together tonight, and I appreciate that very much. And it's impressive to have people that totally disagree to call in and debate and stuff and discuss. It's been fantastic so far tonight, and I'm grateful we have another hour and a half together also tonight on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number. That's 800-288-9227. Well, the latest on Israel is extremely important because we're about to see there's pretty much no way they're not going to hit. Iran's not going to hit back. And Iran has waited. And they wanted to wait till after the Olympics was one of the things. Number two, there are negotiations that are supposed to take place sometime in the next 24 to 48 hours that very likely they're going to hit before that, is what everybody and their brother are seeming to say. One of the most ridiculously telling things is to be listening to the news this afternoon on Fox and to hear a Biden administration official say that the negotiations will still be going on with Hamas, even though Hamas says they no longer want to negotiate. Hamas does not want to negotiate. They've said they want total victory. That literally is what they just said. But they also said, but then in the news, and then you hear the clip from the Biden guy saying, "Hey, we're still going to be there. We're going to be meeting with Qatar and some others and Hamas. We're still working on." You're negotiating with Hamas. Could you imagine us saying, we're still negotiating with Al Qaeda after 9/11? No, we kill them. We capture them or we kill them. And the only reason to capture them is to waterboard them, to torture them. I don't care what you want to call it. You can call it that. I literally don't care. Waterboard. We don't want to get back in that debate. But waterboard them, get information out of them or kill them. And that's fine. We need to destroy the enemy that destroyed us without provocation. So unless you're Kamala's pastor, who actually blamed us 6 days after 9/11 and the 9/11 ceremony, where one of the men whose partner died in the flight over Shanksville, Pennsylvania, who's in the audience. And Nancy Pelosi denounced Kamala's pastor for blaming us. Dianne Feinstein did, and many of them walked out, and all sorts of great stuff. But that's Kamala's pastor 6 days after 9/11 blaming us, of course. Wonderful, wonderful man, I'm sure. Anyway, but getting back to this, Iran is going to strike. They're going to strike directly from Iran because of the fact that the Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated from a bomb they planted 2 months earlier in this Iranian VIP compound guest room. And they planted it, waited 2 months. The head of Hamas shows up to take pictures and with the new president of Iran who's sworn in, and Israel blows him up when he gets back to the compound. Brilliant, wonderful, totally appreciate it, love it, best thing ever. They also took out one of the two top Hamas leadership people within Gaza. Ismail Haniyeh was one of the 3 billionaires living in 5-star luxury in Qatar, never would go in Gaza, just got billions from oppressing people who continue to stupidly vote for them and support radical Islamist Hamas Jew-killing, raping, and torturing policies. Even after October 7th, almost 3 out of 4 of the people in Gaza support Hamas, what they did after what they did on October 7th. Nonetheless, they're going to attack because but Israel also took out its one of the 2 top people that planned, executed, and ran October 7th from Hamas inside of Gaza. So they're taking out all the leadership. And now the last one left to negotiate is Yahya Sinwar, the architect of the slaughtering and murdering. He literally put it all together. And they're supposed to negotiate with him. It's pretty disgraceful. Well, now the U.S., not the U.S., but now this is from the Wall Street Journal today, and I couldn't be happier, I swear to you. In Israel, support grows for offensive against Hezbollah. As the U.S. works to avoid a regional war, inside security circles, some wonder whether now is the time to risk one, and I think it is. Netanyahu said he doesn't want a war, but he has promised a heavy price in response to any attack. There is also a growing number of current and former security officials, the journal says, as well as politicians from the center, right, and far right in Israel who think the timing could be right for Israel to take an offensive approach with Hezbollah, which has massed more than 100,000 rockets, missiles, drones, and other projectiles along Israel's northern border as they continue to attack Israel. Enough is enough, says a former intelligence official and president of a national security firm from Israel. Enough is enough. Since Hamas is basically destroyed, it's time to move to the north. Here's the thing. I think you're going to see a multi-front war. And if I was Israel, I would completely finish taking out Hamas. No ceasefire. If I was Israel, I would also... based on how the attack comes, reports are it may come from Iran directly along with other fronts like Hezbollah from the north, Hamas from the east, and possibly Syria and Iraq from Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps forces there too. This could be a 2 to 4 front attack. I would be aggressive and I would take them out and finish this off. And you can wait until they do their attack and then finish them. And I remind you that the former Prime Minister of Israel, his name always eludes me, and then I get it in my head a second later. But the former Prime Minister of Israel was on Fox News the other day, and he said, if they strike us, we need to take out their... I'm going to get this guy's name. Here we go. It is Naftali Bennett. I'm going to just tattoo that guy's name to my forehead. I always forget it, and then I remember it. Naftali Bennett was on Fox News. He said, if they strike us, we need to take out their leadership of Iran. In Iran, we need to take out their power grid, their electricity grid. We need to take out their nuclear programs. We need to take out their... oil refineries and the nuclear program. So that's a big deal. But you have to understand, as I mentioned the other day, that Iran is within a week and a half, or days actually, of having enough nuclear material to make a nuclear bomb. And a crude missile, they might need 6 months or more to make a missile that could actually carry it well. But a crude one that could carry it and might not be as accurate as they want to, but it can carry it, could be ready in months. So this is unacceptable. And even Joe Biden has said that they cannot ever have a nuclear weapon in Iran because their stated whole mission in life is to kill every Jew and wipe Israel off the map. And that's their existence. So this is a no-go. This is a perfect opportunity if they strike back to take them out. My questions for you, and by the way, tomorrow at 8:30, we're going to talk to Lieutenant Colonel James Carofano, who is amazing on all of this, at 8:30 tomorrow on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. But if you're leading Israel right now, what would you do? Would you attack? Would you negotiate? Or something else? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. If you were Israel, would you attack right now? Would you negotiate or something else if you were running Israel right now? And for me, I would, as what they're doing, I would prepare for a serious war taking place. And I would be prepared and have everything mapped out, which they do. They're brilliant people over there with their military, with their intelligence, everything. They're the best in the world in many cases on everything. And I'm grateful they're our friends and brothers and allies. But I would be prepared to let them attack me. The second they attack is to, and I also think I like the idea where they're about to attack to take them out. Have your evidence, take the picture, and boom, take them out. That might be a good one. The other would be as soon as they attack, you just destroy them with every one of those things. They prove they can do this. Our number, lines wide open, chime in right now, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. If you're leading Israel right now, what would you do? Attack, negotiate, or something else? 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. Lines wide open. You got to take out the Iranian regime. They're responsible for the attack on October 7th. They trained and armed Hamas. They train and arm and give really advanced missiles. Now, never before happened owned by any of the terrorist proxies of Iran. Now in Lebanon, and they are attacking Jerusalem, Israel. Totally unprovoked. They killed those 12 children on a playground with missile attack a week and a half ago. And here you got the Biden administration saying, don't kill the commander in charge of Hezbollah that killed those 12 kids. What did Israel do? Flipped the bird to Joe quietly and took out that commander the next day in a bomb strike. Joe Biden also said, we're not going to give you any more of those 2,000-pound bombs. Israel said, no problem, hold my beer. I still have some left over. And that's when they took out that the guy who's tied with being the top value target for Hamas in Gaza, leaving Yahya Sinwar the only one left at the very top to take out in Gaza. So they're doing that. They're doing it aggressively, and they're winning, and I think that is what they need to continue to do. Execute, assassinate, take out every one of these leaders, and if Iran begins again to have another attack like they did in April, they got to finish off the Iranian regime because they're responsible for the Houthis to the south, and their terror attacks, which have locked up the Red Sea and sunk many ships. Our Navy in the Red Sea under Kamala Biden is, according to the head of the Navy, our Navy now is seeing combat that the likes of which it hasn't seen since World War II. We are literally at a combat stance, and we're not at a stance, but we're actually having combat, conducting combat at the levels we were during World War II. That was the last time we saw this much combat for our Navy. And that's what's going on in the Red Sea because Joe Biden will not eliminate the Houthis as they continue to attack us and the world's shipping and Israel. So this must be put an end to it, and Israel can do it, and I think they need to. And cut the head of the snake off. End it all right now. And I think they're going to have to do that. And yes, that'll lead to a Middle East war most likely, but they're going to have to do what they have to do. This is their existence. All right, coming up next, I did promise to hit on the illegals being rushed into citizenship by Kamala Biden. And who's paying for it? The legal people. You're not going to believe how bad it is. That is coming up next on the Chris Crock Show at 10:48 on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288 WBAP is our number. That's 800-288-9227. I'm going to throw out the question first. And the question's on illegal immigration with Kamala. How do you see 4 more years of Kamala Biden-type policies affecting America? If the first 4 years have brought in about 12 to 14 million illegals, which is more than the population of more than 38 individual states, it's like literally there's only 8 to 12 states that have more population, as a state than the amount of illegals that invaded under Kamala Biden. It's unthinkable. 2 million around have never been interdicted because they snuck in around where they would check, and they don't want to be caught because they're criminals, they're gang members, they're rapists, they're terrorists, you name it. They do not want to be interdicted or turn themselves in. They don't want a hearing. They just want to get in here to do harm or child sex trafficking or something vile like that. But what I heard on Fox News this afternoon in a report was really enraging. Not as much for me, but it might be for you. If you're an American citizen who is married to a foreign-born person who is slated to become a U.S. citizen, because you heard probably today the new reports that the Biden-Harris administration has been speeding up the ability to become a citizen. They have tremendously lit a fire under the process of taking people who have recently crossed the border and turning them into citizens. I can't remember the exact amount. I want to say it was 3 or 4 times. It was like way higher than it's ever been in the history of this program. But how have they done it? And this is what is enraging, especially if this is you. The people whose spouses are in the process of getting citizenship. So if you're an American citizen and you've married somebody, a woman or man who's foreign, is in the pipeline to eventually become a citizenship, you have been removed from the list and put to the back of the list to make these new illegals that Joe and Kamala brought in. They're way in front of you now, and they're going to become citizens fast. Many of them, according to the Fox News report this afternoon, came in from are in states that are red states. That is what Fox News said today. So they're importing millions of people who are from 161 different countries. They're putting your spouse from a foreign country who is in the pipeline to get a citizenship and bumping them to the very back. And they are instead taking these illegals they brought in and flooded here in the past 4 years and putting them to the front of the line to make them citizens fast. And they're going to change the entire makeup of congressional districts and of states. And they're going to be able to overturn what the state's normal votes were to elect a president, so that there no longer are as many or one day maybe any red states. They're destroying democracy, and that's, I suppose, why they say that we're destroying democracy, because they're actually doing it. That's how they work, like a psyop. It's very nefarious. Meantime, a couple stories. Kamala Harris has promised to close private ICE detention centers on day one, could dump thousands of illegal and convicted illegals onto U.S. streets. Yeah, if she follows through what she campaigned on in 2019-2020, they would release 29,000 illegals into American communities right now, even though 7,000 of them are convicted criminals. She said she would close all the detention centers on day one. I've played that audio for you. The New York City illegal migrant crisis is going to cost $5 billion, the mayor says. This year alone, $5 billion, B as in boy. Next year, they're saying it's going to be $10 billion for the illegals that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have flooded into just New York City alone. Meantime, two illegal New York City folks have been arrested for knife point rape on Coney Island. You've heard about this. One was charged in a previous sexual assault case 4 months ago after he illegally crossed in. A 24-year-old Nicaraguan grabbed a 46-year-old woman, according to the authorities, threw her to the ground before raping her, holding a knife to her throat. The other guy, the boyfriend, was hit in the head by a pipe from the other illegal from Mexico. And actually, it took place out of one of these illegal asylum-seeking hotels where they put the illegals up. Where migrant and homeless vagrants and have hang out. And in fact, the woman who spoke to the victim actually said, no, he tried to kill me. He didn't just try to rape me, he tried to kill me. They came through Eagle Pass, Texas, December 2022. Good job, Joe and Kamala. The previous victim he's accused of raping at La Quinta Inn 4 months after getting here, raped and sodomized the woman inside of the hotel in 2023. So he did that. Then he's also accused of doing this. So these are the people that Joe and Kamala have brought in. And just hope if you vote for this, hopefully your daughter or wife isn't next, or your son.